I am Supreme. Today's Astro Oracle investigation will be on Malik Polk. Malik Polk is a 25-year-old man from Coweta County, Georgia, who is currently the subject of an urgent missing person investigation. He was last seen or heard from on May 17, 2026, leaving his residence at the Lakeside Apartments in Coweta County. His family filed an official missing person report on May 19, 2026, after his mobile phone was completely turned off and all communication ceased. Law enforcement tracked his vehicle driving through the Whitesburg area in Carroll County. The car was subsequently found abandoned and recovered by police nearby. Authorities and community search parties believe he may still be on foot in the surrounding Carrollton or Whitesburg area. That is all they wrote on Malik Polk, and that is all they reported. And this is the reason why I am supreme. I am a high-ranking Astro Oracle Psychic investigator. I communicate with the living and the dead for the purpose of bringing justice to communities and families and the world at large. You are about to witness a high-ranking Astro Oracle Psychic investigation on Malik Polk. Now, I made an attempt to upload a reading on Malik Polk, and I immediately deleted it. So if some of y'all were viewing it, you may have realized you wasn't able to view the whole reading because I immediately deleted it. The reason why I deleted that reading was because I realized that I was picking up on two different sources from the ethers. And I'm going to tell you why. Being that this case had minimum to no media coverage, I had to do my own research on Malik Polk. So in my attempt to do the research, there was this picture that kept popping up of Malik Polk, who I thought it was two pictures in one. And I thought they were the same individual. They had two different hairstyles, but they both were African-American males. And they favored each other. So I'm thinking this is Malik Polk taking a picture at two different times, especially two different years. So I got strong energy from that photo alone. And it was that photo that I used to tap in to the energies that I tap into from photos. Because I get a lot of energy from photos. What I did not realize was that those were two different African-American males who were missing. One was Malik Polk and the other one was Derek Samuels. And I will be conducting a reading on Derek Samuels after I conduct this reading on Malik Polk. Derek Samuels will be my very next upload. Also, these two gentlemen, Malik Polk and Derek Samuels, were suggested by a viewer and subscriber of mine, a very special viewer and subscriber of mine, who is my very own mother. So shouts out to my moms for suggesting these investigations of Malik Polk and my next upload, which will be Derek Samuels, who are both African-American males who went missing, who received minimum to no media coverage. This is what makes me grateful to be alive and well. When y'all reach out to me with cases like this, this is why my spiritual eye is open. And I created a whole talent and ability based on my spiritual eye of me being an oracle. And I am about to conduct a high-ranking Astro Oracle Psychic investigation on Malik Polk. So as you see, I do add your itineraries. I do add your cases to my itineraries. And I appreciate all of my viewers and subscribers for suggesting content. Now let's get to this case of Malik Polk. Now I did my own research. So now this time I'm directly focused on Malik Polk's energy without the interference of Derek Samuels, because I will do his reading next. Because in the first reading I did, I was picking up two signals and I pulled cards on two different cases. And I knew something wasn't right. Because these is two different signals coming through. I saw what made sense to Malik Polk's investigation, but I also saw what made sense to Derek Samuel's investigation. Because there was a whole lot of co-workers and employment cards that were coming out. And a whole lot of woods and hiking and hunting energies and international energies and international affairs that was coming out as well in that reading. I'm like, hold up now. These two different, I don't know if Malik Polk had a job, but there's a whole lot of co-workers coming out. And when I read Derek Samuel's investigation, he was a man that went missing coming out of Target. He went into the parking lot and he was never seen again. But a lot of what was coming out made sense with Derek Samuel's case. And a lot of what was coming out with the woods and the hunting, it made sense with Malik Polk's case. So I believe those were two different cases. If they were the same cases, that same information is going to come out in Malik Polk's alone. Because this reading is on Malik Polk alone. So I'm almost certain that those international affairs are going to come out in Malik Polk's investigation. Because even in his birth chart, I saw the multicultural aspect and energy of Malik Polk. So he was born January 25th, 2001. And the day he disappeared was May 17th, 2026. And if you look at those alignments, you will see a pattern. A new moon pattern. Because the sun and the moon were in the same signs. Two different signs, but they were in the same signs the day he was born and the day he disappeared. Both the sun and the moon were in the same signs. So, of course, I'm going to be looking from one chart because new moon people, places, and things have one chart in common. That is an Aries rising chart. Because the sun and the moon are in the same signs in all of these houses. And Malik's sun is in Aquarius and his moon is in Aquarius. And here he goes right here in the 11th house. That's Aquarius's house because the sun and the moon is in the same house. All of these signs are in their home houses. The day he went missing, the sun and the moon was in Taurus, which is right here. Money and material possessions. And Taurus is in its own house. Now I'm going to tell you what I saw in this chart. Being that both Malik's birth chart information and his disappearance information and possible unalivement is in this one chart alone. So I'm going to get down to the timeline and I'm going to pull cards. So I saw suicide. That's right, I did. I saw suicide and I saw gunshots to the head. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Aries comes first. Aries is the self. And Aries rules the head. And Aries is at home in the first house. Because the body, the first house also rules the body. And it rules the self. Now, Mars is the planet that rules Aries. So Mars also rules the first house. It is the planet of our pursuit. It is the planet of our defense mechanism. What you are built like and how you defend yourself and what you pursue. Mars represents physical activity, the physical body and what it's capable of. And it just so happens that Mars, the day Malik disappeared, was actually right here as well in Aries. So there was a lot of self-inflicted energies. Now Mars in Malik Polk's energy, if you look at the chart, was in Scorpio. Malik's Mars was right here in Scorpio in the house of death. So the Mars, the day he went missing, is in the house of the body, Malik's body. And Malik's Mars is in the house of death, Scorpio. Scorpio is in its own house, and the eighth house is the house of death. Now, Pluto is the planet that rules death. And if you look at where Pluto was the day Malik disappeared, Pluto, all the way at the bottom, was in Aquarius. And Malik is an Aquarius. You can't make this up. So this is why I saw in this chart alone, which is the only chart that was needed, because that's the only chart that was presented by both Malik and the day he went missing, the same chart. You can't make this up. I saw a self-inflicted suicide, death and gunshot to the head. And if he did not do this to himself, I still saw gunshots to the head. But I definitely saw death. So I see in the energies, I'm just reading energies, I see death. I see a fight, a very powerful fight, almost borderline torture. I see that. I see sexual assault as well. But I see borderline torture, sexual assault, and gunshots to the head. I also see a transaction that was made during his travels those days in the local environment, because the sun and the moon was in Taurus the day it happened, and Taurus is right here in the house of money. This is the house of buying. Taurus, and the second house is the house of buying, selling, merchandise, marketing, sales, food, shelter, clothing. Taurus represents the overall down-to-earth experience and the sensual pleasures of being human and all of the five senses: sight, taste, smell, hearing, and touch, and the pleasures thereof. Everything that looks good, tastes good, sound good, all the foods, pleasures, the sensual pleasures, the music, just the celebration of being down to earth. Money, material possessions, gold, silver, and all the things that money can buy. That's Taurus energy. So I definitely saw a buying and selling energy. The buying and selling of what, though? Because Venus rules Taurus, and Venus that day was in Gemini. But Venus belongs to Taurus, and it belongs to Libra. It belongs to the down-to-earth monetary aspect of Taurus, and it belongs to the love, relationship, and marriage aspect, partnership aspect of Libra. But Venus that day was in Gemini. Gemini represents travel, and it's in its own house. So Gemini represents the neighbors. It represents the community that he was traveling in. And it represents the local buying and selling energies, such as the local convenience stores, the local supermarkets and Walmarts, and, even the malls. That's all Gemini energy. Especially when Venus is there, that came from Taurus in the second house of buying and selling. So there was definitely some buying and selling that day that plays a role in the disappearance of Malik Polk. Now, let's follow Malik's Venus, because that's going to let us know what he was buying and selling. Malik's Venus is in Pisces, and Pisces is right here in its own house. Now, Pisces is the house of the unknown. Pisces is also in the house of intoxication. This house represents the hidden. It represents the psyche. It represents that which has no form yet. We call that realm the dream world. Everything that's unknown and unclear, it hasn't been birthed yet into the first house. The 12th house is like the womb of existence. Anything is liable to manifest. This is why the 12th house represents spiritual warfare. Be careful what you manifest and what you believe in, because everything is possible here in the 12th house, which is also why it's the house of intoxication, alcoholism, and incarceration. So I do see a buying and selling of intoxicating products, alcoholic products, and things of that nature. Things of a Pisces nature. So, I also see that he was with more than one person. because both his sun and moon was in Aquarius, and Aquarius was in its own house. Malik had a circle of friends because the 11th house represents the circle of friends, the circle of strangers, the circle of sororities, fraternities, and he was a part of the frats and the sororities. In fact, Malik was a Phi Beta Sigma. So that's definitely Aquarius energy in a nutshell. And he was an Aquarius new moon baby. So his Aquarius energy was very popular. He was a humanitarian to the bone. He knew how to get along with all people, all walks of life, all religions, all races. So I'm going to start pulling cards that's going to animate this chart and tell us a story. I modified this deck. That's why I didn't put nothing on the back. Because this deck, I'm going to read exactly how it comes out. Whether it's in reverse or upright. It's going to tell a story the way that it came out. The reason why I don't do reversals in any of my other decks is because I have cards specifically designed for the reverse meaning of the upright cards. So that way I can read everything upright. But this particular deck right here is a deck that I've been using since I started my channel. This is an OG right here. Okay? And y'all will remember this deck when I pull these cards if you've been with me since the beginning of this time on the channel. My very first video. It's just that I modified it. Okay? I modified it to intensify the information that's coming through. So, right now I'm going to pull 4 cards. I'm going to start off with 4 cards that's going to give me information on Malik Polk and his disappearance and possible unalivement. 4 cards on Malik Polk, Malik Polk's disappearance and possible unalivement. 4 cards on Malik Polk, who was born January 25th, 2001, who went missing May 17th, 2026, whose family reported him missing May 19th, 2026, and whose vehicle they found abandoned. I'm pulling 4 cards on Malik Polk and his disappearance and possible unalivement. In 4 cards. I'm going to cut the deck and I'm going to pull 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of reversals. And I see foul play already. Alright, so we have a Sagittarius person that came out in reverse. Sagittarius represents a foreigner. Sagittarius also represents the woods. It represents hiking and it represents hunting. This Sagittarius person was likely involved in these activities. However, this person right here represents foul play. Sagittarius is in the 9th house where it's from, and it's in the 9th house. So I'm definitely dealing with a foreigner. This came out in the first reading I did on Malik Polk. This was his aspect of the reading. So I'm glad this card came out again, because that lets me know that there is a foreigner definitely involved. And not only is this a foreigner that Malik met with foul play with, but this is a foreign family. Why? Because Jupiter is the planet that rules Sagittarius. And Jupiter that day is in Cancer, the home, family, and mother. And Cancer is right here in its own home, family, and mother. So this is a foreign family, because this came from the 9th house of foreigners. Now, the 9th house is also the house of churches. This could have been a church-going family. The 9th house is also colleges and universities. This could have been a college family and university. It could have been one of his frat families. But this person right here is definitely a person of interest. And it is a person of a foreign descent from Malik Polk. Now, Leo, water, came out in reverse. This was a romantic involvement with Malik and somebody else. that came out in reverse. Could this have been somebody that Malik was in a romantic relationship with, a foreigner? And could this be somebody in that foreigner's family? Now, the sun rules Leo. The sun that day was in Taurus. It was a new moon in Taurus. So was this romantic watery involvement, because water represents emotions, okay? Water represents sex. Water represents emotions. Water represents power. So when water comes out in Leo, in reverse, Leo represents romance, playful love affairs. This was sexual. Something sexual was going on, and it had a lot to do with money. And it came out in reverse. So this also was foul play. This Taurus thing, Taurus is where the sun and the moon was that day. It was a Taurus new moon that day. This Taurus thing was definitely buying and selling. Remember, we went over that. Taurus thing is definitely buying and selling. While Leo is over here in the house of romance. Now, like we said, this buying and selling, I believe, was intoxicating products. Because Malik's Venus is in Pisces right here. And Venus that day was in Gemini, the local environment. So this, I believe, was the buying and selling of intoxication products, alcoholic products in the local environment. This Capricorn thing came out in reverse. Capricorn is law enforcement, and it showed up in the house of law enforcement. This is also the house of the father. So Capricorn came out in reverse. So I believe there was a run-in with law enforcement as well. Now, I watched the live that Malik's mother gave. She did a few lives because this is still an open investigation, and she was crying. She was heartbroken. What mother wouldn't be heartbroken when she don't know where her child is? She's heartbroken. I watched her lives, and I picked up a lot of energy off of that. Now, during her lives, she was talking about how a lot of her neighbors were chipping in with their home cameras because they spotted Malik on their home cameras running. And Malik was on somebody's property, and he had a run-in with the people that on the property that he was on. You know, and there was an altercation, I believe. And so they're saying that sometime this family may have, at some point, this family may have something more involved. And I believe that. But the mother, you know, she's not tolerating any type of comments on her live about who may be involved. Because as far as she's concerned, this family is a nice family. And they're helping us out. But never underestimate the power of suspects playing in your face. They will help you look for the very body that they unalived. And I'm not saying that the family did it, but I'm just saying, never underestimate. If that was my child that went missing, and I want everybody to know, I don't underestimate anybody. Everybody is a suspect in my book right now until I find out what happened to my child. And people should understand that. Even your own family would be suspect. You ain't taking nothing at face value. Your own household is suspect. Until you find your child. Until answers come through. Now, it's good to appreciate everybody that's chipping in and helping. But make sure everybody knows that it's clear. Everybody's a suspect right now. In my book. Until I find out what happened to my child. So, let's pull a planet that's going to open up a second chart. This chart is the birth chart and the chart of the disappearance. There's a lot of information in this chart that let us know. Now, this Capricorn thing in reverse is foul play from law enforcement. Let's follow Saturn because Saturn rules Capricorn. Saturn, in the day he disappeared, is in Aries. Aries comes first. Malik's Saturn is in Taurus. Right here. This Taurus thing. So, was this law enforcement with foul play? Did Malik meet with law enforcement about whatever he was buying and selling? Because that's what I see in the energy. And that's what the cards line up with the chart. And I told you the cards is going to tell a story and animate the chart. So that's what I see. A run-in with law enforcement. Particularly due to some type of buying and selling. Was he pulled over and ran? Because they did see him on camera running. There were people that saw him on camera running. They don't know where he was running to. But they saw him on camera running. Why was he running? There's a lot of missing men, women, and children that were last seen running on camera. I've done cases on them. So I'm going to tap into the planets. And this planet is going to assist me in helping me find out what happened to Malik Polk. Open up a chart. What planet is going to come through and help me locate Malik Polk and what happened to him? Open up a chart that's going to elaborate on the Malik Polk disappearance and possible unaliving. Keep in mind, if he's been unalived, he's already cooperating with this investigation. But I also have my spirit team as well. And the planetary forces. The moon in the 9th house, the foreign family. You can't make this up. The moon represents home family. It's Cancer energy. The moon rules Cancer, and the 9th house is Sagittarius' house, where this person came from. This is the foreign family. This card and this card is the same. Because Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Jupiter, which rules the 9th house, is in Cancer that day, which rules the moon. So let's pull this chart. Why did the foreign family come out again? You see it for yourself. So now let's pull this chart. The moon that day was in Taurus. When you put a Taurus moon in the 9th house, guess what comes first? Virgo. Virgo. This is a 6th house chart. So the 6th house chart is Virgo energy. This is employment. This is work. Maybe that first reading was accurate. Because there was, like I said, there was a lot of employment that came out in that reading. So maybe that first reading was accurate. And I'm glad it's coming out again if it was accurate. So why is the house of employment coming out? Where Taurus is in the 9th house. Taurus represents the buying and selling of this foreign person. So Virgo comes first. Where was Virgo at? It came from the 6th house. You can't make this up. Look, Virgo comes first. Look where Virgo came from. I'm sorry. I don't want to hit that mic. Virgo came from the 6th house. You can't make this up. You see how it's aligning? Now, Mercury rules Virgo. Let's follow Mercury first. Where was Mercury that day? In Taurus. You can't make this up. So Mercury that day was in Taurus. This very same card that was pulled. Because that's also where the moon was. In the 9th house. That's Sagittarius' house. So there are some foreigners and international affairs definitely involved. And that's what came out in the first reading. 2 international cards came out from 2 different decks. They were both 9th house cards. There was strong 9th house activity. So I know that for sure because it came out in both readings. So, the 9th house is the house of foreign affairs, long distance travels, churches, synagogues. The ninth house is also, oh, my ears ringing hard. The ninth house is also the house of, my ears ringing hard right here. The ninth house is also the house of colleges and universities. All right. I want to pull 4 words from this energy of Malik Polk. If he has been unalive, he is definitely assisting me in pulling these 4 words. But just in case he isn't dead, which we hope he's not, but I did see strong death in his chart. 4 words. 4 words. 4 words on Malik Polk and his disappearance and possible unalivement. 4 words on this case. Let me cut the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. An authority figure. That's this. He met with foul play because the authority figure came out in reverse. An authority figure. That's 10th house. That's Capricorn energy. Theft. Theft is definitely Taurus energy. There was a theft involved. Racism. You can't make this up. And group. Everything that I said in the beginning of this reading came out. The group. Aquarius energy is always the group. The gang, the sorority, the fraternity, the friends, the circle of friends, the community. Group. This was about a group conscious affair, group conscious, racism, theft. Was he involved in theft? Now, when I saw Taurus energy, I saw buying and selling, but theft is the toxic aspect of Taurus energy. And I should have went over the toxic side of Taurus energy, which is theft, of course. Money and material. That's the negative. This is a negative Taurus card. Was he involved in theft? Nobody's perfect. Was he involved in theft? Authority figure. Did they know he stole something? Or were they accusing him of stealing something? Or he just may have stole something and decided to run when he got pulled over. So, let's put these cards over here because I want to pull more cards and I want to make room. I want to make room for more cards that I'm going to pull. So, in the second house, which is Taurus's house, in the chart that Malik pulled from the planets, I see Libra. Libra also rules Venus. So we have 2 signs in the second house that both rule Venus. Now, in the 7th house, which is Libra's house, I see Pisces, the hidden one. The same energy that showed up in the 12th house, which is where Malik's Venus was. So was this a person involved in drugs and alcoholism? Was somebody abducted? Who is involved in the disappearance and possible unalignment of Malik Polk? There's always 2 main characters of a crime. The victim may not always survive to testify. So the 2 main characters, other than the victim, is the suspect and a witness. Whether the witness was present and involved or not, there's always somebody else that knows what happened. Whether they got involved or not. So I'm going to pull these 2 people and see how these 2 cards come out. Who is involved in the disappearance and unalignment of Malik Polk? Who is involved in the disappearance and possible unalignment of Malik Polk? I'm I'm going to pull 2 cards. In 2 cards, who's responsible for the disappearance and possible unalivement of Malik Polk? 1, 2. Got it again. Authority. Authority in the 7th house. That's Libra's house. And a friend in the 11th house. The 11th house is the house of friends. This was Malik's friend because Malik was born in the 7th house. That's Malik right there in his own chart in the 11th house. This was Malik's friend is involved as well. And an authority figure is involved. We know that because authority came out from a different deck. 3 different decks that authority came out. In this one came out in reverse. All of these are 3 different decks. All of them are Capricorn cards. Authority. So we know that there was definitely an authority figure involved. So I'm going to pull from what? What was this all about? What was the authority figure involved in? What was Malik Polk involved in that caused him to have a run-in with authority and to cause this group of racists? Because I believe that authority figure was a part of this group. There's definitely a foreign family involved. There could, this friend that came out, could be involved. This could have been a foreign friend. All right. What? Consensual in the 4th house. That's the house of the moon. This came out in the first reading. Yeah, see, these are coming out again. So that first reading was the reading for Malik Polk. I just felt like I was giving across 2 different, because I found out that the picture I was looking at that I got all this energy from was 2 different people. And it was 2 different people. But I see it didn't affect the reading. And I'm glad it came out again. So, something consensual. And I even described what this card was in the first reading. So, a consensual crime, and I gave an example. A consensual crime is like, say for instance, and this is not Malik's story. I mean, I don't know if it is or not, but I'm going to use this example. A consensual crime is like a prostitute walking down the street and a pimp pulling up. And the pimp offers the prostitute a job. And you know what type of job I'm talking about. If the prostitute accepts it and gets in the car, that's consensual. If they get pulled over or arrested and both go to jail, they're both guilty. The prostitute can't blame the pimp and the pimp can't blame the prostitute. They can't blame each other because this was a consensual crime. This consensual crime came out in the 4th house of home and family. Now let's look in the 4th house. If you look in the 4th house of the chart that Malik pulled from the planets, look what you see. Sagittarius. That same Sagittarius person that represents foul play from the foreign family. Now keep in mind, Sagittarius in the 9th house is also grandparents. So I'm not going to outrule Malik's family involved. But I feel like this Sagittarius person that Malik met with foul play is from a foreign family. Look what's in the 4th house the day it happened and Malik's birth. Cancer. Now Sagittarius is in the 4th house of this consensual crime, and Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And Jupiter is in Cancer that day. that it happened? What are the odds that both Sagittarius and the planet that Jupiter was in both lands in the fourth house of this consensual crime? Because this is proof that Malik met with foul play. Foul play. Foul play. And I feel like he made a run for it. I'm going to pull from the why, and then I'm going to pull where his body is. Why? Maybe they were involved in a drug deal or some type of buying and selling, or maybe theft. Because theft came out. So why did Malik Polk disappear? And if he was unalived, why? Why did Malik Polk disappear? Jealousy in the third house from a neighbor. The third house is the house of, that's Gemini's house. And guess what? Malik's Jupiter, which rules Sagittarius, that foreign family member that he met with foul play, Jupiter was in Gemini. Jupiter was in Gemini. And look where Gemini is in the chart that was pulled from the planets. In the 10th house of authority. So was this authority figure a neighbor of Malik? From the family that he met with foul play. I feel like he knew this family. But so did the law enforcement. Jealousy in the third house. And Gemini's right there at home. The day it happened. And in Malik's chart. But in the chart that was pulled from the planets and Malik's energy in the third house, you see Scorpio. Scorpio is in Malik's house of death. That's also who unalived him. And I believe whoever this individual was in a position of authority shot Malik in the head. Let's find his body. If he did not provoke Malik to shoot himself, Malik knew he was going to die anyway. If he didn't shoot himself in the head, then that person shot him in the head. Let's find, where's your body at? Where is the body of Malik Polk? Dead or alive, where is the body of Malik Polk? Where is the body of Malik Polk? Where is the body of Malik Polk, who was born January 25th, 2001, who disappeared May 17th, 2026? Where is the body of Malik Polk? I'm going to cut the deck, and I'm going to pull the location of his body. Where is the body of Malik Polk? In a wooded area in the first house. This is where his body was in the first reading. And guess what? The wooded area came out in the 9th house. The same house that this moon came out in. Because there was strong 9th house activity. So, in a wooded area is where his body is. The first house represents the body. And I asked, where is his body? It's in a wooded area. In the first house, you see Virgo. Virgo rules Mercury. I don't see any Virgo energy in any of the alignments, so let's follow Mercury. Mercury was in Taurus, and Malik's Mercury was in Aquarius. Look where Taurus is, in the 9th house. So basically, you see how even when you do a reading the second time, it still has a way of coming out from a different angle, but it leads to the same information. In the first reading, the wooded area came out in the ninth house. In this reading, it comes out in the first house, Virgo, and it told us to follow Mercury because Mercury is the planet that rules Virgo. And Mercury is right here in the ninth house in Taurus, which is where this moon came out as well. So yeah, his body is in a wooded area. And I believe it may have been discarded because Virgo represents sanitation and waste. And see, in the sixth house, this is sixth house because Virgo comes first, and Virgo was the sixth sign of the zodiac. But look in the sixth bedroom, the master bedroom of the sixth house. Look what you see. Malik. He's an Aquarius right there in the sixth house. So yeah, that's my reading on Malik Polk, and I'm sticking to it.